Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the article Children's Literature as Prevention of Child Sexual Abuse. And first, I want to say that I think that this was the best article that I've read so far because I think that it's the most relatable for us as teachers. And I think that child sexual abuse isn't talked about much or talked about in the way that it should be. And I think that this article gave a lot of important instruction and critical advice that we need as teachers. I liked how it talked about how literature can be so powerful for a child, and they may not be able to they may not be able to know the plot of a book or where it took place and facts about the book, but that a child can they can remember how they felt. And I think it's so important for a child to not feel like they can't speak up and or that they're alone in this. And I think a huge problem, I think this is something that we've been talking about in class, is age appropriateness. And what this is saying is that, what the article is saying is that the average age of children being sexually abused is 8 years old. And I don't think people realize that it starts that young and even younger. And the thing that gets me is that we're always talking about when should a child be exposed to anything, whether it be drugs, violence, sex. The thing is a lot of these children are not being exposed for the first time through literature. These things are happening to them. Children are being raped. Children are around drug abuse or participating in it. Children are surrounded by gang violence. These things cannot just be you can't just assume that they're being exposed for the first time. But what literature should be able to do is for a child to be able to see their lives in the book and to be able to relate and know what to do from that. And so I think Sold is awesome because what page is it? I think it was page 125. It says, I am torn and bleeding where the men have been. And then she says, I pray to the gods to make the hurting go away, to make the burning and the aching and the bleeding stop. So for a girl or a boy, this could be relatable. Kids that have been raped have lost, have experienced this. And I think that also the good thing about Sold is that it's shown through her eyes, and it's not like an adult is saying this. And so I think that's good for children to hear. And another thing that that the article said was that adults usually channel books to or away from children according to gender. So with this book, it's more likely for an adult to recommend this book to a young girl rather than a young boy. And I think that in the literature world as a whole and in the classroom, we need to do something about that. We need to make young boys know that it's okay to speak up and to not feel embarrassed. Something that I was thinking of when I was reading this was is it worth a child's innocence that they not read these books, or is it worth their life? Because I think if a child isn't able to speak up, this will cause a lot of psychological damage and could eventually be life-threatening. Another thing that I liked was how it talked about in the realms of child sexual abuse, how teachers and adults often say stranger danger, don't talk to strangers. And if you ever feel in danger, go talk to a parent or a close relative. And what this article is saying is that most of the perpetrators in child sexual abuse are someone that the child knows. And I think what literature can do is about child sexual abuse is say that that's not okay. Even though it may be your parent or a close friend or a neighbor, it's not okay for them to abuse you. And so I think overall, as we become teachers, like, I think implementing books about sex and child abuse should be put on our shelves for kids to read.